it's overwhelming, but it's also our jobs.
Our job is only going to get harder.
It's worrisome.
This is something that's unprecedented.
Now is not the time to be a cowboy. No one has anything to prove. We're all in this together.
Welcome to Reporting from the Frontline of a Pandemic. I'm Isha Marathe, and I'm here with Ciara Speller. She's an anchor at WWLP 22 News in Springfield, Massachusetts. Thank you, Ciara, for joining me.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I want to start by asking you just the most basic question about these unprecedented times right now, which is how are you adjusting from being in the studio to being at home?
It's pretty surreal. You know, it's something that I won't say prepared for because you're not really prepared for it until it actually happens. It's something that you know you can do, but really adjusting and having this be life now, it's definitely surreal. It's really surreal. And it's something, this is the first time I've experienced something like this. It probably won't be the last time, but it's been interesting seeing that other stations are doing this, national news is doing this. It's just, something you'll definitely never forget, and something we're still trying to get adjusted to every single day, but you do what you have to do, you make the most of it. And, ultimately the total product in the end is what matters. So as long as we come together and we're still delivering our news and getting it on the air, that's what matters.
So how long has it been since you've transitioned to doing online news?
So luckily for me, I'm still actually in studio, but we've had some of our other anchors and reporters and meteorologists actually do the weather from home. So it's looking like we're going to be working towards that full transition, having our entire news product be done remotely from people's homes. But as of right now, I still am in the studio.
Okay. And, can you walk me through a little bit about how that conversation went? Was it kind of this is what we're doing starting tomorrow, or was it a slower conversation in the newsroom?
So when everything kind of started to unfold and we saw more cases in Massachusetts where I'm located, it was more of all right, let's come up with a plan and let's see if this can work. So one person took home gear one day and we did a test run during one of our shows. Another person did the same thing. We brought a live truck to somebody's house to see if we could run, with the satellite and see if we can get the live shot up. So I would say that we came up with this plan in one day, and also our company Nexstar was sending us some emails and some tips on safety and protocol changes during this time. So I want to say that the transition has been gradual, but the overall plan was put together, right there on the spot when we realized that this was a big deal and this was a big thing.
Right. And you said you've never done this before, so this is the
Right.
first time. So was it kind of daunting, or were you like, no, this is what we have to do? No worries. I'm just going to go ahead and do it.
Of course, you always have your, thoughts in the back of your mind that it's going to be as good as it would be if I was in the studio. And of course, you have to make sure that your audience understands and that they're willing to adapt and adjust as well, because we're coming into their homes. You know what I mean? We're changing their evening and their mornings and what they're used to. Their routine is also being changed as well as ours. So of course, making sure that it was up to par and that it was acceptable for everyone. That was the biggest thing for me, because I'm all about pleasing my audience and making sure that the best work I present is the best work.
Mm-hmm.
But the overall, just adjusting to doing it at home, not really a problem. Just making sure that you have your camera and your lighting and you have your connection. But I would say for me, it's mostly the thought is my audience accepting of the product I'm presenting now?
And do you think they are accepting? Have you heard from them? Have they been messaging in?
Yes, we've received, a lot of feedback from our viewers that they're happy that we're taking these steps to protect ourselves. I know every day I get messages with people saying, thank you for bringing us the news and keeping us up to date, but make sure that you're keeping yourself safe as well. They know that I go out in the field as well to do interviews. So I'm not just an anchor that's stuck behind the desk. I'm also out in the field putting together packages and the latest and speaking to the community about how this is impacting them. So they're definitely vocal in thanking me that I'm still making sure I'm doing the most for them, but they also want me to protect myself during this.
Are you still going out in the field, or are you not for now? You're just staying in studio?
Yeah, I actually, so we've, of course, like everyone else in the world, people do get sick and things like that come up, and, people have other things that have been planned before things like this happen. So we've all had to step up a little bit and step in and, take a little bit more on than we usually would. So that has required me going out in the field a little bit more. But I'm willing to do that because ultimately like I said, the final product is what's most important to me. So making sure that our story count is there, making sure that, we're not disappointing our viewers and not disappointing myself as well, because I have an expectation and a standard that I, hold myself to. So it's been a little, more daunting, I guess you could say, going out in the fields, knowing everything that's going on right now. But we're taking steps to make sure that we're safe in doing so. We have, new additions to our gear that allow us to be 6 feet away from people while interviewing them, and sanitation procedures that are now put in place with our gear and our cars and everything like that. So definitely doing, the daily routine and the usual workload, but just with different safety standards now.
How has it kind of felt with the newsroom, each part of the newsroom being in different places? Some of you are in studio and some of you are not, some of you are at home. Does that camaraderie kind of feel compromised a little bit in this environment?
I think we know that we all have to step up. Right now, it's a time that teamwork is more important now than ever. So our digital department, who's responsible for posting to the web and social media management and everything like that, they are working from home now. Mm-hmm. So there has to be that communication between us still in the studio and those that are at home. And I definitely would say I'm, more proud of my team now than ever, seeing that we are stepping up and we're still keeping our numbers and our goals and we're meeting our deadlines, not working all together and working remotely and, all spread out in different towns and cities and counties, even in the state. So it's definitely nice to see that during a time like this, when there's so much added pressure and stress and expectation, that we're all kind of sticking together and still helping each other get through it.
And what has surprised you the most in talking to people and in just being a reporter at this time?
I think it's going to be, how I mentioned to you before, that the viewers care how we're doing still, that they're making sure that we're safe and we're protecting ourselves. And that was really nice to have people say, thank you for doing that story and thank you for that clarification, but make sure you're taking care of yourself as well, because I'm just as vulnerable as anybody else. You know what I mean? I could, unfortunately be subjected to contracting this horrible virus as well. So it's nice to see that our community, they still care about us as people. Sometimes those lines kind of seem blurred and seem like they faded away, but it's nice to see during a time like this that everybody's come together and, supporting each other and looking out for each other.
Right. Do you think that that's, kind of going to be an evolved relationship you have with your viewers, even when all of this passes and you go back into the studio and everything's normal again?
I think so. People always say that, the hardest times bring people together, so I think, I definitely think so. And I think that showing them that we're still there and that they can trust us and that, accuracy matters and we're really digging down to the facts, we're knocking on doors still, we're making calls, we're reporting on some difficult things, that's helping our relationship grow with our viewers. So I think that even when this is all over, they'll be able to say, that was the station that was there. They found a way to still make it and be live. And Ciara was, in her bedroom on her bed broadcasting, but she still found a way to make it, to us and relay the news to us. So I think that connection definitely is going to carry over even, after this tough time is over.
And is there something that has really been pretty difficult for you that you've felt, wow, okay, this is a challenge and, it's something that took away energy from you, do you think?
I think, we're all kind of feeling the same way, just as new numbers start to roll in every day and seeing that at this point, things aren't really getting better. I think it also depends on the community where you are, but for us in Western Massachusetts, every day more and more cases, and knowing that it's such a small community, and maybe that these are people who, have perished or who are really sick that I've crossed paths with. I don't know their names, I don't know who they are, their jobs, but maybe I've interviewed them at one point, or maybe, I've spoken to them or even seen them at the grocery store. So knowing that, this is happening to our community, it's definitely hard. It makes you step back as a person, not as a journalist, and to, empathize with people and realize that this is really affecting our country, our communities, our small towns. That's definitely been hard to see the numbers come in and, realize maybe that's somebody that I knew or even stood next to getting coffee, so that's always hard. It makes you, like I said, step back and, we're all people. And I think sometimes that, that is forgotten, that just because we put on a brave face and we're out there and we're talking about fires and death and destruction, that still does have an effect on us. It still weighs on us. So that's definitely been a little hard for me.
And how are you dealing with that stress as a reporter and just as a person?
Some days are longer than others. We've definitely had to step up our game. Like I said, I've been going into work a lot earlier. I've been also leaving a lot later, making sure that everything is done and complete before, I throw in the towel. So I definitely on my weekends try to just unwind, have some me time, reflect on my thoughts, and I try to be as positive and motivational as I can be. One of my things I hold myself to doing every day on my social media is tweeting out an inspirational quote or message, just because I need it for myself. And I know that other people need it as well. And I know that that's also, had the community connect a little bit more with me and reach out and say, thank you for sharing this message. I really needed this today. So that's just something that I try to do to separate myself from the news world, and my personal life is, showing the viewers a little bit of my personal life as well, especially during this time, and sharing a little bit of positivity and encouragement. That's helped me to keep going.
People say the news overwhelms me. I just can't turn it on anymore. It's just too much sadness. And, in that you lose a lot of information that you get from the news too. So I think that's really interesting that you're doing that.
Right. And there definitely has to be a balance. I know that for my news station, as well as many other news stations across the country, your entire newscast, all 6, 7, 8 of your shows have all been about, the COVID-19 pandemic. So it does get a little repetitive, and it does get a little depressing and dark. And we try to add in those heartwarming stories as well. So yes, there are thousands of people being affected by this right now, but there are also thousands of people who are getting a smile on their face each day because people are doing, supporting our healthcare workers and Hearts for Healthcare, and sharing positivity and sharing support. So we'll try to add in those kind of stories as well, to just to lighten up the mood a little bit for people and show them there is a lot of bad going on right now, but also look at the steps that people are taking to show our first responders and, our heroes on the front line, that we appreciate them, and that, we're not forgetting about them during this time.
And do you have any kind of little bits of advice for me and for other broadcast reporters who are about to graduate now?
Yeah, I would say use this as a learning experience, definitely, because I never thought, I graduated from Emerson a few years back with my master's. I never thought that I would even it doesn't cross your mind, until you're actually here. I never thought that I'd be covering a pandemic. You know that it's possible, that you could cover natural disasters and war and everything like that, but you definitely don't know how real it is until you are experiencing it. So just take it as an experience, and a learning lesson that this is something that you could also be going through and reporting through. So I would just really observe, see how other reporters and, those in the media are relaying this information and what viewers are asking for. Search through comments, look on, Facebook and Twitter, and what is it that people are asking for, and how can I make sure that I can do that for them? I would definitely say just absorb it, because it is super surreal, and I never, like I said, in a million years would think, this quickly after graduating, that I'd be covering something that's this big, that weighs so heavy on our community. I mean, you touched on the whole camaraderie thing, and I think it's just important that you stick together during a time like this, because I know that there are deadlines to be met, and maybe somebody wants to, break a story or uncover something else during a time like this that maybe helps them advance themselves. But that's not really what it's all about right now. It's about sticking together. And, I want people to say Channel 22 did the best job presenting news to us at this time. I wouldn't want them to say Ciara Speller was right there. She was the first person. She broke the news. Like, that's not what it is for me. It's our team, because there's a lot of behind the scenes work that goes into making this possible as well.
Right.
So I definitely think remembering that in the back of your mind, that during a time like this, when it's about community and it's about sticking together and trying to get through a tough time, it's not about you advancing yourself and being the first person that was there. That's something that's been, really important to me, because
I'll keep that in mind. And I really appreciate talking to you, Ciara. As I mentioned, I've heard amazing things about you, and
thank you for
thank you.
I owe a lot to Marsha. So Marsha is amazing, and I could rave about her all day, but definitely listen to what she says. She is wise and she knows a lot, and she will help you get to where you want to be. This was a dream of mine since I was 8 years old. So definitely use your resources, stay connected with those around you, because like you see on the email thread, we're all still in contact. All the people that responded, I'm still friends with. We're still supporting each other, helping each other get through this tough time. So definitely, use the resources you have, and Emerson is great for that. So.
Well, thank you again, Ciara, for taking the time to talk to me and to us. And thank you for all the work that you're doing to keep everyone informed and safe. And thanks to all of you for watching this episode of Reporting from the Frontline of a Pandemic. I've been talking with Ciara Speller, anchor from 22 News in Springfield, Massachusetts. I'm Isha Marathe.